Hello, I'm David Leadbetter, and welcome to the third in my series of golf videos. We've covered the long game, short game, and today we're going to take Bill out onto the golf course.
Good shot, David.
Hello, Bill. How are you? Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you.
How's your golf game?
Well, it's much improved. I'm hitting the ball a lot better, and my short game has really improved since we last worked on it. But I seem to be throwing a lot of shots away and not scoring as well as I'd like to be.
Well, you can probably put that down to course management and strategy, Bill, and that's the other part of this game. You know, the long game, the short game, and really how you take it to the golf course. Because if I could get inside of many amateurs' minds, I'm sure I could shave many shots off their score. So today, we're going to talk about that and see if we can really help you with your golf game. I know you've got your handicap down, so we're going to see if we can get it down even further.
That sounds great. You ready to go play?
Well, before we do that, Bill, I'd like to do a little bit of a warm-up session with you because it's very, very important, very vital before you go out and play. You get everything loose and get the feel of the swing. You ready? So why don't you grab a golf club and we'll go through a couple of stretch exercises. And the first one, which we've done before, which really helps the pivot exercise and gets the old body nice and loose and limber. Put the club behind your back and do that little exercise. You've been doing this occasionally, have you?
A couple of times.
Good, all right, let's get turned back and forward there, trying to keep your angles as you go. That's it, weight back to the right, through to the left. How's that feel?
Feels pretty good.
There are a few creaks going on there. All right, now when you're loose there after a couple of minutes there, what you want to do now is just get two clubs, okay, and just swing them. So pick up another club there, if you will. Okay, all right, just swing them back and forward together there. That's it. Smoothly does it, okay? Just gives you a really good feeling for stretching and lengthening those muscles there. You know, you don't want to stand out there and hit when you're cold. It's like any sport, you really want to loosen up and warm up. How's that feel?
It feels good.
Okay, now one final exercise. Just hold the club out in front of you like a baseball bat and just get the feeling of sort of swishing the club there. Okay, here we go. Back and forward. Good. Great, now that's the way you want to sort of get into your session. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to hit a few balls, and what I suggest mainly for people is to sort of get to the golf course maybe 45 minutes before their round and try to, you know, hit a few balls. And what we're going to do, we're going to hit a wedge, all right, we're going to hit a 7-iron, 5-iron, and a few with the woods. So you don't have to go through the whole set, but just hitting a few shots there, getting the feel of the swing and get your rhythm going, and then we'll hit a few putts, then we're ready to go and play. Sound good?
That sounds good.
All right, let's get started. Why don't you get a wedge there and we'll get cracking.
Okay.
All right, Bill, if you watch the pros practice, they'll always start off with the short irons. You know, you need to work your way into hitting the longer shots. So we're just going to hit a few with a pitching wedge to get your rhythm and get the feel of the swing.
Okay.
Okay, just take your time there. That looks fine, Bill. Why don't you hit a few with a 7-iron now?
All right. Thanks, Tim.
I would say if you hit about 10 balls with each club, that would be about right. You don't have to hit too many. Remember, this is a warm-up session, not a practice session. You really don't want to even get into too much into technique. Maybe check your alignment and so on, which we'll do in a second, but basically it's purely the rhythm and trying to get your one thought, possibly two maximum, so when you get out on the golf course, you know, things are flowing and you're ready to go. Okay, let me just put a club down and get you aimed up at something. It's a good idea when you're practicing too, maybe just to change your target occasionally, not just to hit at one particular point, maybe aim to the right and then to the left. So what we're going to do now to make sure you are lined up, and you can do this yourself, just put a club down parallel to your target. So we're going at that tree out there in the distance.
Okay.
So I'm just putting a club down parallel. It just helps you just to make sure that you are, in actual fact, aiming where you think you are.
Okay.
Nudge that over just a little bit. Go.
I want to have just the line of my toes be parallel to the club.
Exactly right. Okay, Bill. How about a 5-iron now?
Okay. Thank you. What happens, what should I think about if I come to the practice tee before I play and I'm not hitting it very well or straight?
Well, the key then, Bill, obviously, is to really, work on your fundamentals. Just sort of check little things like your grip and your alignment and maybe your posture, and maybe go through that little drill, that pivot exercise again. And the other thing, which I would always suggest that players do, is sort of stand with your feet fairly close together, maybe 3 or 4 inches apart, and just get the feeling of the body and the arms swinging together. Remember, what we're trying to establish in a golf swing is where the body are controlling what the hands and arms are doing. And normally you find that what happens if you haven't played for a little while, your hands and arms get a little active. So maybe just standing with your feet 3 or 4 inches apart encourages a good body turn, and trying to swing within yourself too, that's important, not trying to hit everything too hard. All right, well, you're ready with those irons. Let's hit a few wood, shall we?
Okay.
Yeah, with the woods, if you can hit sort of half a dozen shots with, say, maybe a 3-wood or a 4-wood, and then just a few to finish off with the driver.
Okay. I seem to hit the woods a little bit more wildly when I get on the course. Is there anything I can think about here to...
Well, make sure you pick your target. It's a good idea sometimes, just to get behind. Come back and have a look here. It's just as important out here to work on a routine as it is on the golf course. So not every shot, but just occasionally come back here and really focus on your target there. And obviously you have a little bit more leeway down there, so with the wood, so you just go ahead and just make the same smooth swing now. You can also think in terms of simple keys, something like trying to watch the ball a little bit longer. I think, try that one in this next one, because there's always a little bit of anxiousness when you get into the longer club. So just try to focus on the ball a little bit more and look at the back of the ball and make sure you sense you see the club head hit the ball. Okay, not bad. Wow, let's get the old big one out, shall we? The driver.
Okay.
It's going to be fun to go out and play and see how your game is, Bill.
Looking forward to it. I think this warm-up is going to help me a lot.
Well, you really want to try to get into the habit of doing this. If you can get into the habit, make sure you get to the golf course, say a few minutes before, give yourself time, and you'll be much more relaxed when you get on that first tee. All right, so you've got your target in mind. Nice swing, Bill. Good shot. All right. Just to finish off with, why don't you hit a few little pitch shots just with a sand wedge? You'll notice the pros always do that to finish with, just to get the feel of the short game. Nice, Bill. Okay, we're ready. Let's go to the putting green, shall we?
All right. That really feels a lot better. I feel looser and
Good.
feels
Well,
good rhythm.
You can start the routine before we go as well. Here we are on the practice putting green, Bill, and certainly what we're trying to do here is build some confidence and also get some feel for the greens.
Okay.
So what I'd like you to do is start off with some 2-foot putts, all right?
All right. Do you always want to start with a putt this short?
Well, I'll tell you why. The reason being is that many people practice sort of 8 or 10 footers, and those are certainly missable. And you're trying to build confidence above anything else. So if you can get a good solid feel and feel that the ball's coming solidly off the putter face, and then knock these in, you know, hear them going in, see them going in, you'd be amazed what it does for your confidence.
Okay.
Okay, so go ahead there. Good. See, these ones you can knock in all day. You never expect to miss these, but the other ones you could miss. So I always like people to knock in the putts that are going to build confidence rather than lose it. Good. Now what you want to do is hit quite a few of these, because this will, in actual fact, obviously, you can get into a rhythm.
Sure.
And then what you want to do then is to go to a slightly longer putt, like a 30-footer, where you can really build the feel, because you're probably going to have a fair number of this type of length putt. So let's step back here a few feet, shall we? Come back here and there we go, a little bit further. Somewhere about 30-foot range would be great. Okay, so it's going to swing a little bit from the right there, a bit downhill. So let's see how we do here.
Think more of the timing of the stroke with this putt?
Yes, you know, when you're on the putting green here, just before you go out to play, you really don't want to think anything about technique to any large extent. It's pretty much a case of just getting a good feel. Okay. All right. Something like, you know, trying to watch the blade hit the ball would be fine. Good. Get that rhythm. We've spoken about that before, that sort of 1-2 type of rhythm. That would be good as well. Good. Well, the putting stroke really looks like it's improved. You work on it a bit, have you?
Yeah, I've been practicing what we worked on last time.
Good. Oh, very good.
Not bad.
All right, now I'll tell you what we need to do now, just to finish off with. Let's hit a few 60-foot putts. You know, let's get these lag putts down. So hopefully you won't have too many of those out there on the golf course, but you never know, and it is important to try to get the ball close on these long putts. So go ahead and let's see how we do. The other thing is you certainly hope that the practice putting green is a similar surface to the greens out in the course.
Sure.
So,
okay.
Right, so there we go. A little bit of a left to right breaker here. Nice long fluid stroke. Okay. You very seldom find people practice these long putts, and it is important. You see many amateurs, they get in this range and it's a 3-putt almost guaranteed. Oh, you get those nicely grouped, so that's what you want to try to image there, getting them around the hole. Well, good. I think you could 2-putt most of those.
You can tell I get a lot of them on the course.
Well, I think we're ready to go out on the golf course now. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to coach you through a few holes here.
All right.
Certainly look at the way you sort of think about the game, see if we can help you with your strategy and your course management, and I'm sure we can shave a few more strokes off the old handicap.
Well,
So.
that sounds great.
All
Let's
right.
do it.
Our opening hole here, Bill, is a 370-yard par 4 dogleg right. We have a fairway bunker down the right-hand side, about 180 yards out, and it's fairly heavily wooded as well. There's also a fairway bunker down the left side of the fairway, but there's plenty of room over to the left there. So what I'd like you to do, I'd like you to sort of do your own thing. I'm not going to comment as yet, so go ahead and select your club and hit the shot.
Okay.
Ooh, well, we might find an extinct tribe over there, Bill. What were you thinking about on that shot?
I just kind of wanted to get it over with. I get nervous on the first tee.
Well, you're in the same boat as a lot of amateurs. You know, it is a little bit nervous. You get people watching in most cases. So let's think about what you're going to do on this hole, all right? So we've got 370 yards here. I know you're uptight, a little bit nervous. So the most important thing is to get the ball in play. Now, I think if you actually selected a 3-wood and, say, hit it maybe 210, 220, you've only got a relatively short iron into the green. So it is vital to get the ball in play. So what I'd like you to do is think about sort of a 3-wood, and let's go into a routine as well. You can see you grab the club out of the bag there, sort of made a quick jerky swing there, and no routine, and hit it. And a lot of people do this on the first on the first few holes, especially the first tee. So let's see if we can go through that again. Why don't you select a 3-wood there? Here, I've got another ball for you. Hopefully we'll find that one. Okay, now think about which side of the tee you're going to tee off as well. You see, you went on the left side there, and in actual fact, you're hitting into the trouble. So what you want to try to do is always tee up on the side of the hole where you're trying to hit away from the trouble. Especially with the dog leg right like this, you want to sort of hit to the corner of the dog leg. You're giving yourself much more room by standing on this side of the tee. Okay, so let's go ahead. Now, remember, go through your routine. Try to keep your swing thoughts simple. I think one of the big things that you can think about, one of the best things, is trying to complete your swing. Make sure you complete your backswing and swing to your finish. I know you've got your other keys, sort of a little more technical, but a lot of times, the simpler you keep them, the better. All right, so go ahead. Let's go through that nice routine that we've worked on before. Get behind it, line it up, take your time. There's no hurry here. Okay, and try to visualize your shot. Very important behind the ball to visualize the shot. Yeah, that's good. Exhale, breathe, relax. A lot of people even whistle just to get nice and relaxed and loose. Right, now that was a lot better, wasn't it?
Much better. We can find that one.
Right, you see, you've got to get it into the cut piece, all right? You've got to hit it where the mowers go, as they say. The woods are full of long hitters. You don't have to take a driver out on any particular hole, especially on a shortish par 4 like this. All right, so you learned something there?
Yeah, I learned a lot there.
All right, well, let's go and see what we can do. The key to consistent scoring, Bill, is really keeping the high numbers off your scorecard.
Well, I know that when I've been playing, I've been making a lot of pars and a few birdies, but I have that occasional blow up and make an 8 or a 9 or something.
Well, that's right, and so you've got to really keep the ball in play. You can hit a poor shot and suffer the consequences. And I think, you really must make sure that you keep good tempo. Like, for instance, that first shot you had was very short and quick, and that's understandable on the first tee. So keep one's tempo constant is, no question, is very important. It's like the joke with the fellow went for a lesson to the golf pro and hit a shot and he said, well, what did that swing look like? So he said, well, if you slowed it down to a blur, I could tell you.
Well, you teach a lot of the touring pros and great players. What do they do when they have a terrible hole, a double bogey or triple bogey? How do they recover from that?
Well, I think the key really is that you've got to play one shot at a time. You don't want to think back to the last hole. That's the first thing. That hole's gone, finished, forgotten about, or should be. If you carry it on to the next hole, it can hurt the whole game. That's why it's so important to get a good start. You want to, like this hole here, for instance, get your par, hit it in the middle of the fairway, somehow sort of get it on the green maybe, and then 2-putt for a par. But you don't want to make a high score on the first hole because that tends to set the trend for your whole round. So, say the good players, they have that ability to somehow recover. And more than anything else, they don't get too excited or too depressed no matter how they're playing. If you look at a lot of the great players, you couldn't tell what's happening to them by their facial expression. So it's very important to try to stay calm, cool and collected. And if you can do that, you can think your way around a golf course. And that's the key. If we can learn to think our way around a golf course, my goodness, you can save a lot of shots. So let's have a look at this shot here, shall we?
Okay.
Very fortunate here, Bill, to finish in this little opening. So what are you going to do here?
I think I can get it right through that little opening in the trees there.
Well, who do you think you are, Seve Ballesteros?
No, I think I'm Nick Faldo.
Well, I'll tell you what, Nick Faldo would certainly play safe here and sort of make sure he's going to get it out onto the fairway. Here, you could be in here for a week and nobody find you. So, come on, let's see if we can play a little safety first here, all right? And just, let's pitch it out there. So you want to keep it under these limbs here. So maybe like a little 8-iron or something, a little pitch shot.
Okay, let's try it.
Yeah, it'll fit. Well, I just caught the limb, but that's perfectly situated right in the middle of the fairway. And you can see, all right, you've hit it here. You might have hit a miraculous shot there, but you could make an 8 or a 9 in here. So at least from there, you've still got a chance of making par.
Well, we're already making progress on getting rid of those big numbers.
All right, we're making you think now. Well, here we have these balls lying fairly parallel to one another. This is the one that you pitched out here, Bill. This is your 3-wood, so let's play this one first, shall we?
Okay.
All right, so what are you going to do here? We've got 145 yards of the pin from this particular point. So what are you going to do?
Well, I can hit a 7-iron that far, and with the pin near the bunker and the trouble left, I think I'm going to try to hit it towards the center right side of the green.
All right, well, that's smart thinking. Go ahead and do your thing.
Okay.
Well, not a bad shot, Bill. I think you mishit it slightly. You've come up short of the green there, and fortunately, because you were aiming to the right half of the green, you've left yourself a chip which is, well, possible anyway to still make your par. But you know, many, many amateurs have the same problem as you just showed us right there. They never hit enough club. You never see amateurs pass the pin, really. You know, most of the trouble on any green is normally short of it. So I would like you to get into the habit of taking one extra club, just as a matter of fact. You know, if you think it's a 7-iron, take a 6-iron, and, you know, 6-iron, 5-iron, and so on, because it allows you to swing smoothly. It allows for missed hits. I know it's strange to say that, but you need to do that at times, because if you're just always allowing for your best shot, you're very often going to come up short.
Okay.
And say, this is a pretty big green. It's important to know your yardages. So what I want you to do now is on this next ball, the one that you pitched out, virtually the same distance. So why don't you just take an extra club here now, okay?
Okay.
Take a 6-iron.
All right.
I think we all at times tend to overestimate, you know, how well we hit it.
Right.
At times, sure, you'll hit it beyond the pin, but let's get it there, shall we?
Okay.
All right. Now that's going to get back there. That's good. Don't let your ego get in the way of your club selection, Bill. Very important to get the ball back there. If the fella next to you is hitting a shot and he's hitting an 8-iron, sure, you want to maybe look at what he's hitting, but make sure you judge for yourself. Club selection is so important. You'll find you'll get many more shots closer to the pin if you make it a habit of taking one extra club. Right, let's go and hit that second shot there that you've just hit and see if we can make our par still, shall we?
Okay, sounds good.
Bill, now you can see if you'd actually flown the shot straight at the pin, what you might have been confronted with. You can see over here, if you'd left it short, for instance, you can see you could have buried it up the lip of the trap there. You know, you've got a very difficult little pitch shot here to an elevated pin. So certainly, you know, it was a smart play sort of hitting it to the right of the green over there. So let's go and play that shot over there, shall we, and see if we can make our par.
Okay.
All right? Got quite a long chip shot here, but perfect side of the green to miss it, and that's the thing. All right,
Okay.
so what are you going to do right here?
Well, probably gonna take something that'll roll it. In fact, we worked on this and we were working on the short game, maybe a 7-iron, and try to get it to just go over the crest of the hill. And
Sounds good. I'll leave it to you. Not bad there, Bill. Not bad.
a little short, but
Huh? Makeable.
sure.
All right. Come on, let's go and knock it in.
Okay.
Okay, Bill. So, little putt left for your par. See what you can do about it.
All right. Looks like just outside the left edge,
Okay, that should be good.
fairly level.
Well done. You left yourself a little nasty
How about
one
that?
there, but that was a great part. Now you can see just using a 3-wood, and even though you missed the green, it was a fairly easy par, fairly comfortable par. You might not think so, but I thought so. So you can see how you can really save some shots. This is how you're going to get your handicap down. Right, now come on, let's see what you're going to do with this one here, shall we?
Okay.
The one that you pitched out of the trees. Now you can see you still have a chance for your par. So that's the great thing. I say you might have hit a miracle shot, but this was the percentage shot.
Still have a chance to make par.
Exactly.
About the same break, just a little longer.
Whoops, just a little short. Okay. You take your time, there's no gimmies in this game. I want you to get into the habit of knocking all those little ones in. You know, it's a ploy that we have in match play. You sort of get those little ones and all of a sudden you make a fella putt it and my goodness, they're not used to it. This is how people develop the yips, sort of being very casual and going up and knocking them in. So you take your time and imagine every putt's for something. Okay, you practice this on the putting green, so it shouldn't be a problem at all.
A little more
all right.
Insurance there.
Exactly. Well, you made a bogey, so no big deal. I mean, you made a 1 over par here. You don't get a stroke on this hole, being handicapped 10, but a bogey is not the end of the world. So you made a par with the sensible 3-wood off the tee, and I think you're learning a little bit about strategy. So come on, let's go on to the next hole, shall we?
All right, sounds good.
The second hole is a 175-yard par 3 over water with a very big green, about 45 yards in length. Now covering the whole front side of the green is a big gaping bunker. To carry the bunker is 140 yards. Cutting to the left side of the green is a grass bunker, and to carry that is 150 yards. The pin is directly behind the grass bunker and 25 yards from the front of the green. So it really is a beautiful hole. So what do you think here, Bill?
Well, it's an awfully big lake to the right there, and water kind of makes me nervous, so I'm going to try not to hit it in there.
Cut. That's the first thing you want to forget about. You really want to try to keep a positive image in your mind. You know, if you think in terms of don't go in the water, your brain automatically thinks and sees a picture of the ball going in the water. I know it's easy to say that, and water is very intimidating to most golfers. But, you know, to a certain extent, you've just got to trust your golf swing. Forget the water, get your yardage, hit your shot, and carry on with it. You know, it's so important to stand here and visualize a good shot. So if you visualize all the negatives that can happen, you're in trouble. Okay, so now the big thing, Bill, on any hole, on any shot in particular, is to assess the situation correctly. So looking at this hole, you've got 140 yards to carry the bunker, 150 to carry the grass bunker, and the pin is 25 yards back. So you've got a pretty big green, and yeah, it's really a good-looking hole, so hit a good shot and you're fine.
Okay, well, looks like I should probably hit either a 3 or a 4 iron, and from what we talked about before, I should probably hit the 3 to make sure I have enough club and get it there.
Now you're learning, Bill.
Should I tee the ball up or play it on the ground?
Well, I always have a theory that whenever you can get a good lie, take it. You know, if you could just tee the ball up slightly, give yourself a perfect lie, rather than just put it down on the turf itself, because, you know, it's very easy maybe just to slightly mishit it. And on this hole, you certainly don't want to do that. So give yourself a perfect lie every time. You find most of the tour players will tee it up to a large extent. So I always suggest, yeah, tee the ball up.
Okay, I'll do that.
All right. So you've got a nice big green here, so you just go ahead and do your thing.
Go through my routine.
Absolutely. Well, that was a solidly struck shot there, Bill.
Felt good.
You've pulled it just a little bit to the left of the green there, just a few feet off the putting surface. But I want to talk to you about this now. You know, where in actual fact were you aiming when you hit that shot?
Right at the pin.
Well, if you think about it this way, you know, you've got a slight cross breeze here, and you've got plenty of green to the right of the pin. What I would suggest you do here, in a situation like this, is make sure that you always aim for the center of the green, because if you do happen to pull it or push it, you're still going to finish on the green. Here, if you do pull it a little bit, as you did, you're going to miss the green. So you want to try to find out where your greatest advantage is. You know, in other words, you're reducing your margin for error by aiming for the center of the green. You're increasing it by aiming right at the pin.
Okay, that sounds good. I never thought about it like that.
Yes, well, it's extremely important because, you see, you've got to think in terms of, hey, how am I going to get the ball onto the putting surface? Because when the pin's left and you hit it to the left, you've got a tricky shot.
That's a good thought, thanks. You know, something that I'm interested in knowing about is, on a hole like this, how do you concentrate better?
Well, concentration, there's an art behind it. You know, first of all, you can't concentrate for 4.5 hours or 3.5 hours, depending on how long you're on the golf course. You've got to concentrate and focus on each and every shot. So you've got to put yourself in a little bubble and focus and zoom in on what you're trying to do. In between shots, if you relax and laugh and joke, that's fine. I think what a lot of people try to do, they try to get too serious and try to concentrate for a long period of time. So you can't concentrate 100% of the time. In other words, like concentrating on concentrating, which is hard to do. So
Right.
Remember, each shot's important. So concentrate on one shot at a time. That's the big thing.
Well, my concentration must have been a little better because I didn't hit it in the water.
That reminds me of the true story where this fella had a really bad round of golf, and on the 18th hole, there's a big water hazard in front of the green, and he gets his whole bag of clubs and hurls them into the lake, you see. So anyway, everybody's laughing, obviously, and about half an hour later, he comes back in and rolls up his trousers and takes his shoes off and wades in there, and everybody thinks, obviously, he's had a change of heart. So he finds a golf bag eventually, comes out, unzips the bag, gets his car keys out and throws them back in again. So it can be frustrating, as you can see. Anyway, let's go and play this chip shot, shall we?
All right.
Oh, you've left yourself a tricky one here, Bill. Looks like the edge of the green is halfway between the ball and the hole.
This looks like one of those shots I could either hit it in the air to the hole or run it along the ground.
One of those in-between shots, always just a little tricky as far as judgment is concerned. I'm going to let you do this and see what happens.
I think I'm going to take a 7-iron and chip it along the ground. I think that's a little bit safer.
Sounds good.
Well, I didn't think it would go that far past the hole, and it slid farther right than I thought.
Let me show you something down here, Bill. I think you underestimated the slope. You know, when you're looking from that angle, you don't see it, but if you look from down the bottom of the green here, you really see there's a big slope in the terrain. Have a look at it. See that?
Mm-hmm.
See how it sort of moves down from left to right
Yeah.
here? And, you know, if you get down here almost on your knees, you can really see how the terrain, the surrounding area is coming this way. So it's very important when you're walking up to the green to pay attention to the surrounding areas. You know, it's very easy just to get up to your shot and hit it. I don't see many amateurs really looking. You'll see the pros always scouting around, looking for those little angles there which are subtle. As you could see, you hit a nice shot, but the slope just moved it away. Well, anyhow, let's see if we can go make the par, shall
Okay.
we? All right?
Thanks.
Well, let's see you knock this one in for a par, Bill.
All right. Looks like it's about 1 inch outside the right edge.
All right. Oh,
Hit a good putt there. I just think I misread it a little bit.
yes, it didn't swing quite as much as you thought. Well, now, let's see what happened on this hole. You hit a solid tee shot there, didn't quite assess the situation correctly, and hit it a little too far left. So the bogey was really set up by your tee shot, correct? Okay, you hit a good chip shot, once again, didn't take into account the slope. Third shot there, the putt, misread it slightly. So you've actually hit 3 good shots to this point, and 4th shot obviously went in. So, yeah, you don't always get rewarded in this game. You know, you've hit basically 4 good shots and still have come away with a bogey. So here we can certainly see that course management could have saved you at least a stroke. And that's why it is so important to really think about what you're doing. So it's not just a case of hitting the ball well or hitting the chip well. Knowing the type of shot you have to hit is vital before you actually play it.
Right.
All right?
Okay.
Okay, well, let's go on to the next hole and see what we can do, shall
All
we?
right.
Now reached the par 5, 540 yards in length, quite a severe dogleg left with a big lake and trees down the left-hand side. Has an undulating fairway, trees and bushes to the right, and from the landing area, about 230 yards out, there's a big fairway bunker which parallels the hole all the way down for about 200 yards. This is a good 3-shot par 5 to a fairly small 2-tiered green. This is really one of Lake Nona's most impressive holes. Well, Bill, here we are, and what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm starting to think a lot better about what we've been working on, and considering there's water left and a bunker that goes the whole length of the hole to the left, I think I'm going to take my driver and hit it a little bit right of center here. It's a 3-shot par 5, and I don't need to swing hard and kill it off the tee, so just a smooth shot out to the right side and play it from there.
Oh, you're thinking well, Bill. You're sounding like a tour professional here. This is exactly what they're assessing when they get on any tee. And remember, a par 5 especially, there's more strategy on these holes than any other holes because there are 3 shots after all in order to get on the green in regulation. So you can really think your way down this hole, and you know, it's probably, for the most part, they're the easiest hole to make birdies on. So this is where you can really use your head.
Let's see if I can do that.
Okay. Look at you, like an old pro there. Just to the right of center there, keeping the bunker well out of play, in great position there.
I'll take that one.
Well done. Oh, Bill, what a beautiful day we have here. You know, we've got the lake, we've got the green grass, birds chirping. What could be better, right? We've got a caddy. I mean, this is the way to play, isn't it?
Sure is. Doing a great job.
I always like that story of the guy who played really bad. He lost about a dozen balls, and he's thrashing around in the rough looking for his ball, and he looks at his caddy there very irately and says, you know, you've got to be the worst caddy in the world. So the caddy replied, well, that makes us a perfect match then. You did a good job. Okay, well, as we said earlier, you know, strategy is so important, Bill. You take this hole, for instance, okay, this is a stroke 4 hole, and, you know, you get a stroke here, so, I mean, basically all you got to do is make 6 and you get a net par, and, you know, the way you've hit your tee shot, there's a good chance you can make 5 or possibly a birdie. And I think if many golfers, you know, we see time and time again, a lot of golfers try to play beyond their limit, shall we say. If they played within themselves, for instance, an 18 handicapper, he has 18 shots, or she has 18 shots. So you can turn a par 3 into a par 4, a par 4 into a par 5, and a par 5 into a par 6. In that way, it doesn't put so much pressure on a person. You know, for instance, if this was a par 6 to a person, all they've got to do is get to the green in 4. And very often, they'll be by playing within themselves, they'll hit more solid shots there, and quite possibly will shoot lower. So a lot of times, you don't have to hit every green in 0 handicap regulation. And I think this is where a lot of people go wrong. So playing intelligently, thinking in terms of, hey, well, you know, I only hit the ball 210 or 220, and playing for that will allow them to play to their maximum potential. So, you know, really, especially on par fives, you know, strategy is the all-important thing. And I think if players would think a little bit more about that, and scoring is so important. It's all well and good hitting the ball well, but the name of the game is get the ball in the hole in as few a number of strokes as possible.
Right.
Well, your ball finished up in the middle of the fairway there, Bill, and you can see if you'd got a little too cute with this bunker, you might have had a problem.
I think before our session today, I probably would have tried to cut the corner here, but I'm glad I played smart out to the right.
There's no real advantage hitting it close to the bunker. It is a par 5, and you're really not going to cut that much distance off anyway. So,
I'm glad I didn't hit it in the bunker. I sure don't like hitting out of those anyway.
well, I'll tell you what, funny you mentioned it. Let's see how your fairway bunker shots are, shall we?
Thanks a lot. Well, I guess I'll take a 3-iron and try to play it out to the right, play safe.
Okay. You mean you're not going for the green, right?
No, I think not this time.
Okay. Well, another 3 or 4 of those and you could get out, Bill.
Don't like these shots.
What you really need to do here, Bill, is first and foremostly to get the ball out onto the fairway, okay? Get it back into play, in other words. You don't want to try to be too ambitious. Okay, so maybe a 3-iron wasn't quite the correct club. For a start, you've got to make sure you've got enough club that certainly is going to get over the lip. Now, a 3-iron might have, but you know, it's a little risky. So once again, you know, you do get a stroke on this hole. It is a par 5, so get the ball back into play. You can still get it on the green or somewhere close and make a par. But now if you're trying to get too cute with it and try to cut off more than you should do, well, you might have a problem. All right, so the actual technique is not that difficult. I'm going to show you what we're going to do, okay? Now, first of all, I'm going to take a little bit more lofted club than you, say a 5-iron, and remember too, a lot of people say, well, how about a wood out of here? Well, it's a very difficult lie. You know, you've got to get your footing and so on, so forget the wood, all right? So you want to try to take a club which you feel for sure you can get out and take the closest angle to safe play, all right? So if I can have a 5-iron there, please. We'll use your clubs for this purpose. Hope they're well trained, Bill. All right, so let's see. There we go, so hopefully the ball rolled in nicely. Now, say, I'm going to pick my angle, and so I can see the direct angle to the middle of the fairway there, and probably I've only got about a 110-yard carry, something like that. Now, first of all, you want to make sure you get firm footing. So what you want to do is bury your feet in and just roll your feet in slightly. You can see how my feet are actually turned inwards very slightly. So I'm not building a stance in any way, but I really am feeling that my weight is inwards towards my ankles. So that'll help to keep me nice and still. See, balance is so crucial out of a fairway bunker. Okay, so now I'm in a position here where I feel secure, and now I'm in a position where I can get the feeling that my hands and arms are working a little bit more. I want to keep my lower body secure and get the feeling that my hands and arms are doing a little bit more out of this shot. Any wasted body motion will make me tend to either hit it too cleanly or too far behind the ball, and that's the worst thing you can do. A little clean is certainly better than hitting it heavy or fat. All right, so now, choking down on the club. Virtually I'm choking down the same amount that I'm burying my feet in, so we get the same sort of relationship. I'm going to put the ball maybe just a little further forward than normal, because I'm trying to achieve a sort of a sweeping type of shot. Very important to feel like I'm actually almost hitting up the ball, all right? So if I take the equator, the center of the ball, feel like I'm actually hitting up on it slightly. Because, once again, say, thin is far better than fat. Right, now, all I'm going to try to do here is to swing the club a little bit more inside and make a nice smooth swing here and trying to keep very still. So although my body is moving, I don't want to sort of move my head back and forwards. I want to try to stay reasonably still and say get my hands and arms swinging nice and freely. All right, let's see how we do. So nice and relaxed here, picking your target again, slightly inside and trying to sweep the ball off the top of the sand.
Oh, good shot. I wish I could do that.
Well, you're going to try. All right? Okay, you got a ball there?
Got a ball.
Okay. Good, yeah. Try not to put it in my footprint there. It would make it tough.
So choke up the same amount that I can dig my feet in.
Right. Roll your feet in slightly.
Okay.
Choke down, that's fine, that's good there.
The ball is positioned
a little further forward.
A little further forward, all right?
Yes. Okay, so remember the club's going to swing a little bit more inside, so you feel like you're going to sweep it, and it's the sensation actually trying to draw the ball or hook the ball out of there. Okay, and stay nice and still. Just one other fine little point. Watch the top of the ball, okay? That'll sort of allow for a little bit of margin for error. You certainly don't want to hit behind it, so aim for the top part of the ball and try to sweep it out of there nice and smoothly.
Okay.
Well, there you go.
That wasn't nearly as hard as I thought it would be.
Well, with practice, Bill, they really aren't that difficult. It's just knowing how to do it and getting the correct technique and, hey, getting the ball back into play. That's the most important thing out of fairway bunkers. All right, well, let's go and play your proper ball over here, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
And, you know, if we were playing a match, you'd be lying 0 right here with your stroke on this hole. So you're sitting pretty here, and hey, if you play it correctly, you never know, you might get a birdie or something.
That would be great.
Okay. Well, you have, I would say, about 300 yards to the green, so well within your range, right?
Well within my range. Just a little 3-wood.
Okay. So you can see you've got the fairway bunker still to contend with down there, and quite a bit of rough and bushes and what have you, and lake on the left there. So, and it is a slight dog leg still.
I think I'll just take a 3-wood, get it down there close to the green.
All right. Well, let's have a couple of practice swings with your 3-wood. Now, it's very important. Fairway woods and long irons can provide a bit of a problem to a lot of players, and I think the most important thing is that you make sure you complete your swing. You trust your golf swing. There is a tendency to try to lift the ball up. You know, there's enough loft on these clubs, believe it or not, to actually get the ball up in the air. So as long as you've got the ball positioned correctly, which is forward in your stance, and you complete your golf swing and just trust it. It's a sweeping type of motion there. So you don't want to try to take a divot as such, but you want to just sweep the ball and really stay with it. I would say that two big things you can really work on with fairway shots, I should say, are completing your backswing and making sure you stay down with it and sort of watch the ball. That's a good key thought, where you really see yourself, sense yourself hitting and watching the golf ball.
Okay.
Okay? All right, now, enough from me, you go ahead. Well, that was well hit, Bill. Very well hit.
A little to the right.
Now, you've pushed it a bit then. I think you've actually run through the fairway here. So, you know, the smart play here, so I know you hit that well, and, you know, if you hit it straight, then it was perfect. But the smart play here is probably in thinking in terms of the yardage from here to your, what we call your layup shot. In other words, if you wanted to hit the ball, say, 120 yards from the green, you've got about a 180-yard shot to go. So, what's that, a 3-iron, say?
About that for me, sure.
All right, well, why don't you, let's play it a slightly different way here, a little more tactical way here, and take a 3-iron out and just hit it down the middle there, because with a 3-iron, you're not going to run out of fairway for sure. So let's see if we can play it in this way. Remember, well, you hit your 3-wood, say, 220 or 225, say, you're only going to be 40 to 50 yards further on. So it is a par 5. You cannot get there in 2 shots. So let's think in terms of the next shot rather than the one you're playing right now.
Okay, okay.
The long iron is not too dissimilar from the fairway wood, in as much that you want to make sure that you complete your swing, sort of stay down with the shot, and once again, it's a little more of a sweeping type of shot, especially from a fairway like this, which has a little bit of sponge and thatch to it, where you can slide the club through there, okay? If it's very tight, you might have to hit down it a bit more, so keep the ball up in your stance and complete the swing and watch the ball. Yes, you're going to like that one, Bill. It's just going to leave you a short iron to the green. So you can see there are 2 different tactical ways of hitting a second shot on a par 5.
Let me ask you something, David. What should I think about when I start hitting bad shots during a round?
Well, everybody hits bad shots, let's face it, Bill. But the big thing that I always try to get players to key on is when you hit a bad shot, is to stand there and make what you feel is a perfect golf swing. Okay, practice swing there, visualize a perfect shot there, so you leave that spot in a good frame of mind. You never want to leave there angry and upset and depressed about the shot you've just hit. So if you can focus on making a good swing, seeing a good shot, I'm sure you'll find that your rhythm will come back and, hey, you'll probably hit very few bad shots.
Sounds good.
Well, you're certainly sitting pretty here in the middle of the fairway with a 3-iron that you hit, Bill. Very good shot.
Thank you.
Now, we can see where the 3-wood finished. You ran out of fairway and ran through under those bushes there, so not the ideal shot. So we'll pick that one up and we'll play this one.
All right.
All right? So now we've got about 120 yards left to the hole. And you can see if you play this strategically, you hit your tee shot 240, you hit your 3-iron 180, so it leaves you a very short iron to the hole. Okay, so go ahead. What are you going to do here?
Well, I think I'm going to hit a full 9-iron here.
All right, well, let's think about this just for a second. Okay, now, when you hit a full shot, the tendency is the ball to go up in the air and it can sort of hover around or the elements can affect it. So what I'd like you to think about is sort of hitting a 3/4 shot, taking one extra club. And in that way, you'll keep the ball down and it's a much more accurate type of shot. There.
Okay.
You see it'll go in low and you'll see all the pros playing these sort of 3/4 shots there, and that's how they hit those short irons stiff. All right, so what I would do here, and I'm going to hit the shot for you to start with, and you can observe it, I would normally hit a wedge from this distance. So I'm going to take a 9-iron and see how we do.
All right.
Thank you. Your clubs are working quite well so far, Bill, so let's carry on. All right, all I'm going to do is just choke down a little bit, and when I say a 3/4 swing, I'm just talking about swinging a little bit shorter here and a little shorter there with a bit of control, just making sure my hands are ahead of the club head at impact. Okay, so let's see how we do. Nice and relaxed there. Maybe stand a little open, and we're ready to go. See, much more accurate type of shot there.
Good shot, David.
Okay, you can also play the shot into a wind. It works great. All right, so let's have a look at you now. And you're going to take what club?
Well, I'm going to take an 8-iron now and hit it a little easier.
That's right. So just one extra club. And,
choke up on it a little bit.
all right.
Just a little shorter swing.
Right, just put the ball a little further back in your stance as well.
Okay.
Okay, short follow through now. That's great.
That really works pretty well.
Yeah, you can see how low the ball took off.
What's a good thought to have when playing in windy conditions?
Well, in windy conditions, certainly, I mean, this works well with a short arm, but with full shots, you mustn't try to fight the wind. I would suggest that you play with the wind. If it's a right to left wind, aim it a little right, let the wind bring it in, and the same for a left to right wind. If you're into the wind, you want to try to swing a little smoother. Say, take an extra club. And obviously, if you're downwind, what you've got to do is judge the shot correctly and take enough club that's going to allow the wind to carry it to the target. So the big thing I can suggest is make sure you swing within yourself and keep your rhythm.
Okay.
All right?
David, something else I'd like to ask you before we leave. When the ball ends up in a divot, how do you go about playing that?
I suppose you want me to play it, don't you?
Sure.
Okay, right. Well, let's see what we can do. Hopefully, most golfers replace their divot, but at times they don't, and you end up in a situation like that. But really, it's not too dissimilar from what we've just done. I'm going to put the ball a little further back and put a little bit more weight on my left foot and really make sure that my hands are ahead at the point of contact. You'll see that my follow-through is very short, so it's very much a punchy type of shot. Okay, so let's see how we do. So I've made the divot a little bit deeper, but I got out of it quite nicely.
Yeah, it came out great.
Right, now remember to fill that one in as well.
Okay.
Okay, right, let's go.
All right.
Well, it's nice to see, Bill, you didn't get inside of me anyway.
Well, I tried.
All right, let me just get my pitch mark here and I'll pick this one up. Okay. Now, step over here. Let's see, got a nice birdie opportunity here if we count your second ball as a real ball, which in future, that's what you'll be doing anyway, won't it, Bill?
That's right. That's right. Yeah, just a little downhill here.
Well, good try. At least you got to pass the hole. Now, a point to remember, Bill, too, make sure that you actually watch a ball that runs past the hole. Most people never take that into account. You know, if you do hit it 3 or 4 feet past the hole, notice which way it swings. Then you know what you've got to do on the return path. That's just a little point to take note of. Okay. All right, we'll give you par. So under normal circumstances, that would be net 4, and you can see strategy really plays a big part, doesn't it?
Well, I learned a lot there. I feel now I know how to play a par 5 strategically.
Right.
You know, there are a few other shots that I come across when I play a round of golf, different situations. Would it be possible for us to go work on some of those?
Yes, let's go and find some different situations then, Bill.
Great.
This is my sort of hole, Bill. A green with 2 pins on it. Hit your shot, then you choose the pin. Now, these 2 pins here are to help us illustrate how we can hit a draw and a fade. Now, the pin at the back on the left there, I would try to draw the ball into it because I've got quite a bit of room to play with to allow the ball to run up there. The pin short right here, I'd try to fade the ball in. It'll be a much softer landing shot and stop quicker. You see, at your stage now with your game, you're almost at the point where you want to learn to work the ball. Not on every shot, but there's certain shots that crop up there you'd like to be able to draw it or fade it. And certainly the ball's going to finish closer to the pin, and hey, maybe you can make a birdie from it.
Do the tour players work the ball right to left and left to right on every shot?
Not on every shot, but I mean, you don't want to get too fancy. I mean, you'll find most players will have either a standard shape to their swing, either a draw or a fade. But, you know, when the shot calls for it, certainly they'll be able to draw or fade it. And as I say, this particular pin at the back on the left there demands a draw shot. So let's see what we can do, shall we?
All right.
Okay, now in order to hit a draw, what I'm going to do is just stand not directly behind it, just a little to the left of it and sort of picture my shot here. Very important to picture the shot. Pick my target out just in front of the ball and then walk into it. Now I'm trying to line my club face up just a little to the right of the target. Okay, and then I get my body pretty much parallel to it. So in actual fact, I'm close to the target line. Okay, my target line here. This is the way I'm actually swinging, so I can learn to swing from the inside and release it and create a draw type spin, okay? Then it moves this way in the air, all right, counterclockwise. Okay, then pretty much I just put the ball back in the stance just a little bit and then try to make a normal swing.
Good shot, David. That ran up nicely.
Well, this particular pin position here, Bill, certainly called for a draw. I've got plenty of green to play with and plenty of green on the right as well. So just hitting it to the middle of the green and letting it draw back, even if I'd hit it straight, it would have finished okay. Let's talk about the fade now. I'm going to use the same club in actual fact. You know, when you fade the ball, an intentional fade, one tends to take a little off it. So in actual fact, this club I'm using right here will be the same club that I'm going to hit for a draw or a fade.
Okay.
Okay, now I'm going to do the opposite here. I'm going to stand behind the ball, not directly behind it, just a little to the right. I'm going to picture the shape of the shot there, starting to the left and fading back. I'm going to do the exact opposite that I just worked with the draw. Okay, so I'm going to set my club face just a little to the left of the target, pretty much where I want the ball to start. I'm going to set my body to the left, so I've got a slightly open stance. My ball's further forward. See, with the draw, I actually sort of felt my club turn over this way. With a fade, I'm going to try to hold the club off a little bit more. So this is where a little skill level is required. So let's see how we do, shall we? So I'm going to take a little bit off it. Picture my shot here.
Well done.
So you see, with minor adjustments, I can hit different shots. And that's the key to scoring, Bill. Well, you can see, Bill, what we're confronted with here, certainly not a straightforward shot. We've got 165 yards to the pin, and we've got some trees in front of us with some overhanging branches. So what we've got to really try to do is keep the ball down and sort of run it through there and let it run up the front part of the green. So in this case, what we're going to do, we're going to try to swing smoothly, take one extra club, and the big key is to make sure that we sort of fold the left arm very quickly after we've hit it there and shorten the follow through. The tendency that many players have is that they put the ball back in their stance and then hit down on the ball so much that the ball pops up. So what we've got to do is take a little off the swing, and that'll keep the loft down, and the ball will then go low underneath those branches.
Okay.
All right, so let's have a go. I'm going to choke down on the club just a little bit as well. Lighten the grip pressure too, that's a good key, and that way you can swing smoothly. Well, that's the way to do it, so come on, you have a go, Bill.
All right. I should probably use a 4-iron. I think that's a little better for my distance, don't
exactly,
you?
Yeah. I'll drop the ball in a similar lie.
Let's see, I want to choke up a little bit.
Right.
I'll have the ball back.
Right, nice and smooth now, and fold that left arm there as you follow through there.
Okay.
A well-played shot there, Bill.
Thank you.
Even though you might be in some trouble, you can still knock it out on the green. Well, this looks a likely trouble spot here, Bill, and let's drop a ball here, shall we, and see if we can save a shot or two.
Have to hit a high one to get it over that.
Exactly right. See, you've got only two options here. You can really maybe somehow try to pitch the ball out this way or sideways, but you know, if you can understand how to hit a high shot, you can get a shot over these trees onto the green. So I suppose these pine trees here are about 60 feet tall, something in that region. And judging by the yardage, I think we're somewhere in the region of about 120 yards from the middle of the green. So normally here, pin's in the middle, yes it is. Normally here I'd probably take a wedge. So I'm going to take a 9-iron because obviously I've got to hit it with more altitude, and obviously now I've got to take more club to allow for that fact. Okay, so let me get my 9-iron out here. Let's talk about the shot. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to put the ball a little further forward than normal, because I want to make sure that when I make contact with the ball, that my club head and hands are almost in one line. If anything, I want to sense that the club head is actually ahead of the hands. To that effect as well, I want to actually set up to it with a little bit more weight on my right side and position my hands very slightly behind the ball. Now I want to make a nice full swing and feel pretty handsy. I want to feel a lot of hands and wrists at the bottom there. So there's a certain amount of feel in this shot. It needs a bit of practice, certainly, but we need to finish nice and high and, once again, visualize the shot.
Okay.
So let's have a go.
Oh, good shot.
That looked pretty good. All right, have a go, Bill.
I think I'll take one more club than you did just to make sure I get it there.
Okay, now remember you've got the trees ahead of you, and the big thing is, you know, you can't really pitch out here, and as long as you get over the trees, even if it's just short of the green, you shouldn't have too much of a problem. So the major obstacle here are the trees, okay? If you're short of the green, always chip and putt for your par.
Okay.
All right, so.
Just a little bit more forward than normal.
Exactly.
And the hands a little bit behind.
Behind.
Weight Just favoring the right side?
Favoring the right side, and plenty of hands and arms. You're going to feel fairly wristy through impact too, and sense a nice high finish.
Okay.
Ooh, just got over them. Well done. That was good. Excellent.
Oh, I surprised myself there.
You see, you've just got to take into account the fact that as long as you use the loft of the club correctly, in this case we're trying to add a little loft by setting up to it a little differently, you can actually get right over these trees. So, hey, you're going to save another shot here.
That's great. I never would have tried this shot.
Well, they say there's more air than tree, Bill, but I'm not going to go through them. I'm going to go around them.
I'm glad you're the one that's doing this and not me.
Well, now what we have here, obviously, is a situation where we need an intentional hook, not a draw, a big hook. So that means I'm visualizing the shot sort of starting way out to the right and curling back to the left. Right, so in order to play this, what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to line the club face up at the point where I want the ball to finish, okay? But I'm going to aim my body at where I want the ball to start.
Okay.
Okay, so in other words, my club face is closed in relation to my alignment. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the ball back in my stance and also strengthen my grip slightly. Because the key here is to make sure as I swing through that the club face in actual fact is closing. So as I swing to the right of the target, the closing club face should actually bring the ball back online. Okay? Right, let's see how we do. So I'm going to put the ball back in my stance. I also feel I might take the club back just a little more inside too as I swing it back. And really visualize the shot. That's really important.
That's impressive there.
Well, that one curled nicely. My goodness, I don't think I could have hit it that close with a straight shot. So how about that one?
That's terrific.
I know how to play them.
All right.
Dear, oh dear, Bill, in the rough again.
Maybe we should be working on my swing instead of my strategy.
I'll get you a copy of my book later.
Great.
Now, this shot calls for an intentional slice. You could go over the trees here, but to really get down near the green, you want to play this shot which sort of goes left and darts back to the right, okay? So let's see how we're going to play this one.
All right.
Okay, now first of all, as with the hook, you want to try to use a long club. In other words, either a wood or a long iron. It doesn't work very well with a short iron. Okay, now aim the club face at where you want the ball to finish, which is down the right side of that fairway there.
Okay.
Okay, and now get your feet and your body aimed well to the left where you want the ball to start.
Okay.
Okay, good. So now in actual fact, the club face is open in relation to your alignment.
All right.
Okay, put the ball just a little further forward, and now weaken your grip. Turn your hands around now, okay, to the left side of the golf club, okay, in an anti-clockwise, counter-clockwise position. All right, now all I want you to do is visualize the shot. Very important to visualize the shape of the shot there and really sense that you're actually trying to keep the face open as you swing through.
All right.
Okay? All right. Now go ahead and just visualize that shot there. So you're going to really be swinging across the ball on an out-to-in swing path.
Okay.
Okay. Well, it looks like you've been slicing all your life, but look at that.
I think that's probably how I got over here in the right rough.
That's great. So you can really see how you can save some shots if you know how to play them. let's look at uphill and downhill lie situations, Bill. Why don't you set up to the ball?
No, it's always been uncomfortable for me to set up to a shot like this.
Well, naturally, the tendency is one wants to lean into the slope to secure one's balance. So what you have to try to do is set yourself parallel to the slope. So take your address position, put the ball about the middle of your stance, and set yourself up in such a way that you feel your right side is quite a bit lower than your left. See, now you've got this tilted down, and in actual fact, now you're parallel to the slope. What this will allow you to do is to actually swing up the slope and allow the club to get through. The tendency is if you lean left, you swing into the slope and you really don't get any speed. Remember, from this lie here, it's very difficult to get your weight through, so you must keep the club swinging up the slope.
Okay.
One further point to remember, Bill, you must take a little bit more club, because when you're on an elevated lie like this, the ball goes up in the air. So if you're going to hit a 5-iron, you need to hit a 4-iron. So just take that into account as well.
All right.
Go ahead and hit a shot. Good, that was solid. You really got through that one nicely. Now let's look at the downhill lie, shall we?
Okay.
This shot, Bill, is the same but different. The tendency is to lean back into the slope to maintain your balance. All right, so what I want you to do is set up to it now and try to get yourself as parallel as possible to the slope and put the ball back in your stance this time, just to make sure you make contact with the ball first.
Okay.
Now you can see now you're getting your body in a situation where it's now parallel. Your right side feels higher than the left, and you're in good shape here now to swing down the slope and to make good contact. Finally, Bill, don't forget to take a more lofted club. From this lie, the ball tends to fly lower and a little further. Okay? So if you're going to hit a 5-iron, now you hit a 6-iron.
Okay.
Excellent. You see, balance is so crucial from these lies. So you set yourself up right, and then no problem. Here's a nasty one. The ball sitting way below your feet. You know, the key really for any shot like this, Bill, or any slope for that matter, is balance. Okay, so now let's look at this one. The tendency is with a slope like this for the ball to follow the shape of the slope. In other words, the ball should move left to right. So first of all, we have to allow for that and aim a little left of our intended target. Okay, so the important thing is we're going to try to get good contact here. So we don't want to try to get too ambitious. So I'm using a 4-iron here. Wouldn't want to use a wood or 2-iron or anything. But now, to get down to it, what I need to do is widen my stance. Okay, get my stance a little bit wider, especially with my long legs, so I can actually get down to the ball. I'm also going to try to hold the club up right at the end as far as I can. Gives me a little bit more length to the club there. Okay? Now, naturally, with the ball below my feet, the tendency is to swing the club up on a very upright plane. So I've got to accommodate that by actually having the ball fairly far forward in my stance. Okay, and finally, the last thing you want to do is to really address the ball more off the toe, because the tendency is when you swing for the club to work outwards. So we've got to ensure that we don't get the weight going towards our toes and keep the weight back here and, say, addressing it off the toe. Even if we move out a little bit, we'll still strike the ball out of the middle of the club face. Okay, so let's see how we go doing this. Right, so maintaining balance is very important. I feel my hands and arms working a little bit more. Obviously, my body's in a very restricted position.
Well, that's great. Is the opposite true for the ball above your feet?
Well, let's go and have a look.
Okay.
Okay. Well, there we are. All right, we'd be probably upset if it finished there because we'd expect it to roll back down the hill. But anyhow, so what we're going to do now, obviously, we've got a slope in this way here, so the ball in actual fact is now going to follow the slope, so it's going to move right to left in the air. We have to allow for it, aim a little to the right. And what I'm going to do is going to certainly flatten my swing plane, so I'm going to choke down on the club now to help to facilitate a flatter swing plane. I'm also going to put the ball back in my stance slightly, because obviously a flatter swing plane means I'm going to strike the ball a little bit earlier in the arc. So a little further back in the stance there, Bill. And then finally, what I want to do is to address the ball this time a little bit more out of the neck or the heel of the club, because the tendency is as you swing to sort of move back down the hill. So the other important thing is just to feel that your weight stays forward on your toes so you don't fall away from it too much.
Okay.
Okay, and then once again, try to swing smoothly. There won't be too much body action, more hand and arm type of motion, and make a nice smooth swing.
Well, it's a good shot there.
Well, we don't always get these type of lies, Bill, but when we do, we have to know how to handle them. Bad luck, Bill. Here we are on a par 4 and you've hit it in the rough off the tee. So we've got 3 different types of lies to contend with. One where the ball is sitting down a little bit, not too bad. This one's not that good, it's sitting down somewhat more. And that one's terrible, it's buried. All right, so we've got 180 yards to the green, and here what I'd like you to do is think about taking a 5-wood. You know, most modern 5-woods, they have these little rails at the bottom. In actual fact, a fairway wood will actually slide through the grass fairly easily, a lot easier than it will a long iron. So take the 5-wood out and let's see what you can do with it.
Okay.
Now remember, you're trying to sweep the ball away, so just make sure as you swing back that you really brush the grass. Hold the club slightly off the ground. I always advise you to do that if the ball's sitting up a little bit, because if you hold it down, the ball can actually sink down further into the rough.
All right.
Okay, so.
Do I play it just normal?
Normal position there, yeah.
Right.
Maybe choke down just a little bit on the club. Okay, off we go. Good. Now that came out really well. You see how the club actually slid through the rough?
That was amazing.
Okay, you wouldn't have thought of that, would you?
No, never would have.
All right, now let's look at this lie here. Now what I'd suggest you do, obviously you're not going to get to the green, so you've got to, certainly you can get over these first bunkers here, so probably something about a 7-iron, 6 or 7-iron, maybe a 7-iron for safety.
Okay.
Make sure you can get down and through it. Remember, from this type of lie too, when the ball hits the ground, it tends to run quite a bit. We get what we call a flyer, okay? And it'll also tend to shoot out just a little bit more. So you'll probably get a fair amount of distance anyway.
Okay.
Okay, so for this particular shot, I want you to open the face slightly, okay? And I want you to pick the club up pretty quickly and make sure that you really feel that your left hand is leading the club head, okay? Make sure the club head does not pass the hands. So it won't be a very long follow through either. It'll be a fairly punchy, choppy type of swing.
Okay.
All right, so put a fraction more weight on your left side as well. Good. Now you advance that ball nicely down the fairway, and that's about all you can hope for. Hopefully you can have a chip and a putt.
All right.
Or a pitch and a putt. Okay, now here's our desperate lie here. Hardly see the ball, lucky to find this one. Now this one, you're just going to have to take your medicine and take the heaviest club that you've got, in other words, with the greatest amount of loft, a sand wedge, and really just pitch it back out onto the fairway.
Okay.
You don't want to get too brave here. All right. Yeah, you can see it. Make sure it's your ball. That's a good tip too.
I think it's mine.
All right.
Need binoculars to tell.
All right. Now, make sure you lean left. Once again, pick the club up very sharply and then hit down on it.
Blade open or blade?
Blade a little open, yes. You want to feel like you're cutting it very slightly, cutting across it. Good. Good. So in this case, you're really trying to take the shortest route to the fairway. All right, so there you have 3 rough lies. Hopefully you'll keep them on the fairway, but sometimes you land up here. Well, Bill, here we are. We're spotted bother in the rain here. You know, the most important thing in the rain, obviously, is to try to keep your grips dry and to play within yourself, sort of like half and three-quarter swings. You just want to keep advancing the ball down the fairway. You know, advance it down there. Don't get too ambitious. So go ahead there. You've got your grips dry. I'll act as your caddy here. All right. Choke down a little bit there, and you hit it, and I'll keep dry.
All right.
Perfect. Here we go. We could have chosen a better day, but, you know, hey, you've got to play in all sorts of weather, haven't you, if you're a real golfer?
That's right.
All right, let's go.
Okay.
Well, Bill, I've coached you through a few holes, and we've spoken about some shots that might crop up on the golf course. Now, here we are on the final hole, and we're going to have a little match, you and I.
That sounds great.
Okay. Bill, we have a 375-yard par 4 here, slight dogleg left, a bunker down the whole left side of the fairway, lake to the left, and a fairway bunker to the right, but a fairly generous landing area for our tee shot. Okay, now let me give you a couple of scenarios before we have a little head-to-head match here, shall I?
All
okay,
right.
Now, you know, you can either use a driver off this tee or a driving iron, in other words, a 1 or a 2 iron. Many amateurs should learn to use a 1 or a 2 iron. It really helps you to get the ball into play. Okay, now let's take a couple of examples here. You might be 1 down playing a hole, and you have to give a shot away to your opponent, and you really might need to crack a big tee shot down there to sort of put the pressure onto him. On the other hand, you might be 1 up with a stroke against your opponent. Now you want to get the ball in play, and out comes the 1 iron, and boom, you hit it down the middle there, get the ball in play. It might be a very tight hole, for instance, and you certainly want to get the ball on the cut piece, all right? Or otherwise, just to keep your score going, a 1 or a 2 iron off a tee there is a great club to use. You see the pros use it quite often. Okay, now, I'll tell you what, as far as this tee shot is concerned, I'm going to give you the secret how to hit it 20 yards further.
That sounds great.
Okay, right, get your driver out. All right, now, if you've got a tee there, Bill, just place it in the ground, but make sure it's in very lightly, because I want a very high tee for this shot.
Okay.
Okay, now, just take your address position. Get your feet a little wider than normal, about 3 inches wider. Good. Okay, now put about 60% of your weight on your right side and tilt your right side down. Very good. Now, don't ground your club. Hold it off the ground very slightly.
Okay.
Okay, good. Now, the big key here is to make a big turn. Come on, really make a big turn. Get your back to the target, even if you feel like your head's moved off the ball slightly. Okay, we're trying to get a really big, wide turn, get your weight into your right side. Now, from there, I want you to feel like your head stays behind the ball and really swish and release the club through. So you give it a good crack up the back of the ball. Okay, good. Now, come on, do it with speed here now. And
okay.
show me that nice, high, extended finish here and really rip it through. Very good. Boy, that would have gone a mile.
That's pretty powerful.
Okay, well, that's how you're going to get your extra 20 yards. Okay, now I'm going to tee off first, seeing I'm the pro here. I'm going to hit a 1 iron.
Okay.
All right. Now, trouble's on the left, so I'm going to tee up on the left side of the tee. I'm also going to aim to the right side of the fairway here because the pin's on the left side. It gives me a better angle into the green, hitting in from the right side. Okay.
A good shot. Right down the middle.
Well, that's in play, Bill, so put a little pressure onto you now.
All right. Well, I think I'm going to try the new swing and see if I can kill it.
Okay, go for it. Nice and high.
Is that wide enough there?
Looks great. Oh, my goodness.
Well, that really works.
Look at that. All right, no more advice from me. You're on your own. We've got a match going here.
Okay.
All right, Tim. Let's see, we've got about 145 yards here. Into a little breeze. Take a little 6-iron here and hit a knockdown shot. Okay. That'll do.
Nice. Well, that sure was a good shot. Tim, what do we have here?
120 to the hole.
120 to the hole. Into a little breeze. Try that 3/4 shot with an 8-iron. Huh? Let's go make the putt, huh?
It's bad manners to beat your teacher, you know, Bill.
Well, that's a fine shot you hit, David. Of course, you should remember that I'm here, too, for net 1.
That's right, Bill, but it's never over till it's over, as they say.
That's right. Let's fix my ball mark here.
Hey.
Looks a little bit downhill, slightly left to right. I don't want to go too far by because I need to make him make one with me getting a stroke here. Ooh, it's got a chance. That's good.
Well, you might just want to put a little mark on that, Bill.
Well, thanks a lot, David. Knock yours close. Good birdie, David.
Close enough?
Well done. So I'll tap this in here for 4 net 3 to have. Huh?
Well done, Bill. Nice match.
Nice match.
As you can see, you know, even playing a 1-iron off the tee, I can still make a birdie, so strategy is so important. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the round.
I sure have.
Let's go off to the 19th. I hear you're the head professional there.
I am. Playing that last hole, David, you know, I felt like I stood on the tee and had a plan and stuck to it the whole way.
Right, well, you have to get to a point where you take your game from the practice tee out onto the golf course, and so you're thinking about your game and obviously thinking about your scoring. The name of the game is to get the ball in the hole.
That is true.
All right, well, these are going to taste good.
Sure are.
So you can see, Bill, there's a lot more to this game than just hitting the ball well. To score well, you have to learn to have strategy and course management as well.
I really feel like I've learned a lot of good new things, David. For instance, a routine of warming up versus practicing before I go to play and to hit those putts for confidence. You know, when I went to the first tee, I was nervous and hit the driver in the trees, but knowing that if I hit a 3-wood and put it in play, I've got a much better chance of making par on the first hole.
Exactly. I think you're looking at the game in a different light now. You can see how you can think your way around a golf course. This is what's really going to allow you to get your handicap down.
Well, I think using strategy, for instance, like we did on the par 5, where I hit my first 2 shots to prepare myself to have a 3rd shot to the green.
Exactly. And think in terms of the par 3, where after a while you're going to be able to work the ball right to left and left to right. This is how you can really challenge yourself and learn to get better and score lower.
You know what I really enjoyed was when you gave me the secret to hitting the long ball. That drive I hit off 18, I've never hit one that far.
Yeah, everybody's looking for that extra distance, that's for sure. Now, you know, one thing I'd like you to think about when you finish your round of golf, you want to analyze it. Have a look at it in a way that you think, hey, maybe I can improve my score in this department or that department. Look at your potential score. Because, you know, with this game, for sure, no matter how well you play, you can always play better.
Well, there's no question that if I think about the principles we've talked about, I'm really going to improve my scores.
Well, you know, you can never stop learning in this game, Bill, and that's the beauty of it, and there's lots of things to look forward to.
Well, I've had a wonderful time here at Lake Nona with you. It's a beautiful golf course, and I've learned a lot. Thank you for having me.
Well, thanks, Bill. I enjoyed having you, and good luck in the future. And remember, you never stop learning in this game, so there's a lot more things to look forward to.
It's great. Thanks, David.